Hi, and welcome to Clappia. In this video, we'll see how to use the Get Data from Microsoft Excel block. A lot of businesses maintain their data in Excel, and you can bring that data directly into Clappia automatically when you're filling forms, and then do a lot with it like set up workflows to notify relevant teams, update payment statuses, trigger approvals, and much more. So let's see how to get Excel data into your apps. I'm logged into my Clappia workplace, and I'll open this vendor payments app I created earlier. It's not quite complete yet. I still need to add the part where users can pull in vendor information from my Excel sheet. So to do that, I'll go to Design App to set this up. You can see the fields I added earlier. I'll click on Add Field and select the Get Data from Microsoft Excel. You can set this up on the right panel. First, I'll give it a label. You can name it whatever makes sense for your app. Then there's the description, where you can add a short note to guide the user. This appears at the bottom of the field. You can leave it blank if you want to. Next, you need to connect your Microsoft account. Since I've already connected mine earlier, you can see this drop-down option. For your first time, you will just have this button. So click on Connect Microsoft Account. A Microsoft login pop-up will appear. Sign in with the account that has access to the Excel file you want to use. After signing in, Microsoft shows a permission screen asking Clappia to access your files. Click Accept. Once that's done, your account appears in the Select Microsoft Account drop-down and you can select it. If you ever need to connect another account, you can always click the Connect Microsoft Account button again to add one. You will then get additional options. You will need to point Clappia to the specific Excel file from your OneDrive. So this is the Excel file I want data to be pulled from into Clappia. Make sure your sheet has a proper header row as the first row with column names as you can see here, and the data should be in the rows below. The Get Data from MS Excel feature reads the column names, so the structure needs to be in place. Now, if you have your sheet ready, just copy the URL from the browser and paste it into the Enter Sheet URL option here. Once you do that, the Select Subsheet dropdown appears, showing all the tabs in your file. In this case for me, in my sheet I have Vendor Payment Approval and the Approval Escalation Matrix tabs. As you can see over here, I'll select the Vendor Payment Approval sheet since that's the one with the vendor data I need. Now, once the subsheet is selected, you get two more options. The first is Select Columns. This is where you define what the user will search by in the app. So for example, I want my users to search with or enter vendor ID, and based on the ID, it should pull up the related details from the Excel sheet. So in Pull Columns based on the selection, this is where I choose which other data should automatically fill in once the user makes a selection. I'll select all of these, except maybe the vendor ID, and I'll save this block. You can see all the columns I selected here have appeared automatically after saving it. You also have the option to customize the message shown if there is no data found in the sheet when you search for something that does not exist in the Excel sheet. Now I'll go to App Home and show you how this works. So this is the Get Data from Microsoft Excel feature that I added. I'll click here and you can see a drop-down appears showing all the vendor IDs from the sheet. The user can also type it in if there are too many to search from. Once selected, immediately all the other fields get filled in automatically from the Excel sheet. The user doesn't have to type any of this. They can now fill in the rest of the form and submit. And from there you can have workflow set up to do whatever you need, send a notification, update a status, trigger an approval, all based on your data. Now let's look at some other setup options. What if you don't always want the Excel lookup to appear? Let's say if this field is selected as yes, only then should the Get Data from Microsoft Excel fields appear in the app. If no, it should not. So I'll go back to Design App. For the same field's right panel, I'll go to the Advanced tab and you'll find this option Display this field if. This is used to give display conditions to fields in your app. You can use spreadsheet type functions and you can type @ to bring up the fields from your app to pull in the values automatically. So like the example I gave, if this field is selected as yes, then this field should appear in the app. So I can type in @ that field equals to yes. Once you give a display condition, you will get an additional option to retain the value if it is hidden. In some use cases, you may have to edit your submissions multiple times, and if this field is hidden during the edits, then you will need to keep this option enabled if you want the data to remain. By default, it is enabled. I'll save this. I'll go back to App Home to show you how it looks. Right now, those fields are not visible at all, but the moment I select yes here, the Get Data block and all the pull fields appear. And if I change it to no, they disappear again. So the form stays clean and only shows what's relevant based on what the user picks. Now here the fields only display the data from the Excel sheet, but there can be cases where you might want to edit these fields. For that, back in Design App, select the field that you may need edited. Let's say I pick the status field. Then on the right panel, go to Advanced and enable this option. Just note that if you make edits to a pull field, this will not reflect back in the Excel sheet. It is only for Clappia submissions. There can also be cases where you use these fields for, say, calculations and don't need users to see these fields in the app, but require them to be there. In that case, you can keep these fields hidden. This is different than what we saw earlier using the Display this field if option. So again, you will have to select that particular field and on the right panel in the Advanced tab, enable the option for Hidden. Again, you will get the option Retain Value if Hidden. Keep it enabled if you want to. This will only hide this particular pull field. So in App Home, here you can see that even though I select the ID, that field does not appear. You can also make it compulsory for the users to fill this field before submitting. Just go to the Get Data block again, and on the right panel, you will see the required option. Enable this, and in App Home, I will not be able to submit without making a selection. I'll make a quick submission here. Just fill in some random details. And you can view your submissions as usual under the Submissions tab. Just click on a submission and view all the details on the right panel. If you do not want your users to be able to make changes to the submission after it's submitted, then you can disable this option. Allow value to be changed after initial submission. So if I save this and go back to the Submissions tab, over here you can see this field is now grayed out. Now one thing to note, if you do make changes to your Excel sheet data, then it will not be automatically reflected over here. You will have to refresh your submission to see the changes. So for example, in my Excel sheet, I will change some data. I'll just change this and I'll also go back to the Design app and allow edits to be made to the submissions. Now going back to the Submissions tab, you can see the value has not changed. However, if I make the same selection again, it takes the current value. If you want current values, do make sure that you save the submission. Now this will also work for the Clappia mobile app. If you haven't downloaded it already, you can do so either from Play Store or App Store. And the app that you have created over here will be live and ready to use on the mobile app. The feature will work exactly the same way as you saw in App Home. So that's how you can use the Get Data from Microsoft Excel block in Clappia to bring in your Excel data directly into your apps. If you wish to know how to send your Clappia submissions into Microsoft Excel, we do have another feature for that. If you go to Design app, Configuration, you will see Office 365. This is for sending data from Clappia into your Microsoft Excel sheet. There is a separate video on this. I will link it in the description box. So if you have any questions in setting up the Get Data from Microsoft Excel feature or on any other feature in Clappia, you can always raise a support request by clicking on the button over here at the top. You can select AI Assistant as it is trained on all of Clappia's help material to give you a more tailored solution, or you can select any other option and our support team will get in touch. Thank you.